I am AP Townley, and this is Roleplay Culture. So, you want to pray to a god in D&D, right? Which one?
يا إلهي سيبني أعيش عفاني. No. Okay.
Clerics in D&D are one of the most powerful classes capable of healing, supportive magic, as well as ripping their enemies apart. Fun times. But what kind of cleric you are, what kind of god you pray to, sets the tone for your character very quickly. It comes in the form of the class's subclass. This is the first time we've talked about a subclass that comes so early for the character, and that can be pretty important. You don't have time to figure out and get used to how to play a cleric before you make your subclass choice. You have to hit the ground running. Subclasses, as we remember, are a feature chosen by every class to help niche down into a particular concept for the class. They make this choice between levels 1 and 3. For the cleric, this determines the domain of the god or goddess that you specialize in. A god or goddess may have many domains, but you will only focus on one. This subclass is called a divine domain. You make this choice at level 1, and you have 14 to choose from, which I believe is more than any other class. Getting your subclass at first level has interesting implications that don't get talked about very much. Newer players often need to play their character for a level or two before having to make another big decision like what subclass they want to be. But clerics get theirs at first level, making this somewhat difficult for newbies. It also makes the class very dippable for multiclassing, since you get so much in the first level or two, which can have its own problems for game balance. But we digress. We're talking about choosing a subclass, but which to choose? Which will raise us to heaven, and which goes the other way? So here are my thoughts on the best and worst subclasses for the cleric in D&D 5e. These are just my opinions. I think any subclass can find a home at the right table or in the right game. So there might be a lot of divine domains for the cleric to choose from, and you'd think that would make choosing the best domain difficult. Well, you'd be wrong. The Twilight domain reigns supreme. Seriously, there's no contest. This subclass is OP. Twilight clerics revere the moment between the setting of the sun and the dark of night. You know, dinner time. Gods like Solune and Yondala are among their patrons. At first level, like all clerics, we gain a list of 10 domain spells that we always have prepared. Fairy Fire, a great support and debuff spell for the party. Sleep, okay for the first level or two, but you won't use it after that. Moonbeam, an amazing druid spell. And See Invisibility, which is niche, but you'll be happy to have it when you need it. Aura of Life, which lets you heal others with your bonus action. And Liamon's Tiny Hut, which is a great defensive and rest ritual spell, which we, as ritual casters, can cast without a spell slot. We get Aura of Life, which protects our party from necrotic damage and from having our hit point maximum reduced, which is a really nasty effect we'll increasingly run into as we meet more powerful undead and demons as the like. And then there's Greater Invisibility, which can be almost unstoppable if you don't have an answer for it. Circle of Power is a paladin exclusive that gives us and those around us magic resistance, so there's that. Oh, and if any of those spells the circle protects us from have a save for half damage, we just don't take any damage. And finally, we get Mislead, which is this really cool illusion invisibility switcheroo spell that turns you invisible and puts an illusion of you in your place that you can see and hear out of. Also at first level, we'll get proficiency in martial weapons and heavy armor. That last one's amazing, but just make sure you have a high enough strength to wear it. Or be a dwarf. Eyes of the Night will give us dark vision out to, get this, 300 feet, which is just insane. No one else gets dark vision that far. And even crazier, once per long rest, as an action, we can share this dark vision with a number of allies within 10 feet of us equal to our wisdom modifier for an hour. A whole party of adventurers with 300-foot dark vision. That vampire better crawl back into its coffin.
Master, you okay?
No.
But we are still not done with this OP fest. We also get Vigilant Blessing. We can give one creature, which could be us, advantage on their next initiative check. This lasts until they make that roll wherein we can bless another creature. We can only have one creature blessed at a time, but the only other limit in how often we can do this is how often initiative is rolled. At second level, just like all clerics, we get our Channel Divinity. We can use this once per short rest, and we get a second use at level 6 and a third at level 18. Like all clerics, we can turn undead, but we can also use Twilight Sanctuary. And I'm telling you, if this subclass gave you nothing but this, it would still be stupid powerful. As an action, we can activate a 30-foot radius aura that follows us and lasts for a minute. When any creature, including you, starts their turn in the aura, you can choose to give it one of two benefits. You can just end a charmed or frightened condition on that creature. Pretty niche, but those conditions are not fun. But it's the other one that really breaks this ability. You can alternatively give that creature temporary hit points equal to 1d6 plus your level. You can do this for every creature that meets the requirements, and it doesn't take any action to do this once the aura is up. It will affect other players, you, allies, even summon creatures and familiars. That is potentially a whole lot of temporary hit points given out every turn, like a whole lot. And remember, Channel Divinity comes back on a short rest. You're basically a walking Energizer bunny. At 6th level, you get Steps of the Night. As a bonus action, while in dim light or darkness, you gain a flying speed equal to your walking speed for a minute. You can do this a number of times per day equal to your proficiency modifier. Flying is a great ability. Sure, this might be somewhat limited by only using it in dimness, but you'll often find yourself in dark dungeons, dank forests, or just adventuring at night. So it will be applicable plenty of the time. I feel the need to point out that the fact that clerics get this amazing Spirit Guardian spell, and giving that aforementioned cleric a concentration-free flying is a little crazy. Imagine a flying Cuisinart. 8th level gives what half of all clerics get, Divine Strike, which allows for one weapon attack per round to add an additional 1d8 radiant damage to the total. This increases to 2d8 at 14th level. At this level, we're probably not going to make too many weapon attacks, but we can use martial weapons, and this will boost attacks of opportunity, we assume. I'd rather gain Potent Cantrip here, adding our Wisdom modifier to the cantrip damage. There's an alternative choice in Blessed Strikes for all clerics. This lets us add 1d8 radiant damage to both weapon attacks and cantrips. So you basically get both abilities, but it doesn't scale at 14th level for the strike. That's a trade-off. Still, a bit more consistent, I think. At 17th level, we get Twilight Shroud, which will improve the Twilight Sanctuary Channel Divinity, because that wasn't strong enough already, was it? This will allow ourselves and any ally we wish that is within 30-foot radius aura to have half cover plus 2 to AC and dex saves. Nice little bonus. Might not sound like much, but it gives it to everyone you want in the aura. You, your party members, your pets, your summons, your goblin slave, sidekick, definitely your goblin sidekick. It's already taking a really strong feature and just making it even stronger. Remember, Channel Divinity recharges on a short rest, and at this point you can use it twice before then, 3 times with 1 more level. This needs no more explanation. The Twilight Cleric is ultra strong, and it wasn't even a contest for the best subclass for clerics. But the worst subclass, that took a bit more calculating to figure out. There are quite a few of them kind of floating at the bottom of the barrel. But I think we have to choose the Arcana domain. This was a tough choice. I think we could make the same argument for the Knowledge domain for all the same reasons of the Arcana. I just think the Knowledge domain does what it's trying to do a teensy-weensy bit better.
I take your little thing, see? I put it into this little hole here,
and nip the tip. Who's first?
But if the Arcana domain is your baby, just replace most of the upcoming argument with the knowledge domain. It will probably still apply. The Arcana domain comes from the Sword Coast Adventuring Guide. I made a similar video to this one about barbarians that also included a worst option from this book. And here we are again. That was foreshadowing, by the way. We aren't done with this crappy book yet. To be continued. The Arcana domain was for morons too dumb to be wizards. Okay, seriously. They were clerics who prayed to gods of magic like Mystra or Hecate. So they get some wizardly-like abilities along with being clerics. At first level, we get the usual domain spells. Detect Magic, great ritual spell, love it. Magic Missile, iconic wizard spell, but there are better uses for your spell slots. Magic Weapon, garbage most of the time. Nistel's Magic Aura, fun and kooky spell that's really more of a DM spell than a player spell. Dispel Magic, amazing. Almost every cleric I play has a spell. Magic Circle is interesting, protects you against outsiders, but it's really hard to use unless you're really good at planning. Arcane Eye is a great divination, scouting, and spying spell. Lehman's Secret Chest is weird and very expensive. Planar Binding is cool if you find something to cast it on, and Teleportation Circle is cool if you find the coordinates to other teleportation circles. As a whole, I give this maybe a 4 out of 10. Arcane Initiate gives us proficiency in the Arcana skill. Makes sense considering the title of this domain. You also get 2 cantrips from the wizard spell list. And they are now cleric cantrips for us. Not bad. There are some good cantrips in the wizard's list, particularly attack cantrips. Those are cantrips with attack rolls. Most, if not all, cleric cantrips have saving throws. Attack rolls are usually superior because they can be buffed, have advantage, and at higher levels, monsters will have spell resistance, giving them advantage against those saving throws. But this is all you get. Even though it's not bad, it's not nearly what it could be by comparison to other subclasses. At second level, our channel divinity, Arcane Abjuration, which does basically the same thing as Turn Undead, except for Celestials, Elementals, Fae, and Fiends. But you only get to choose one creature to use it on, and they make a Wisdom saving throw or be turned with the usual rules around it. At 5th level, when clerics would normally be able to start destroying undead with this ability, you get Arcane Banishment, which lets you banish said outsider based on this chart. There are 2 problems with this. The banishment lasts for a minute. It's not true banishment. The creature will always return. And finally, you can only banish the stupidly weak. When you get this ability, you can only banish half CR creatures. That's like a method of some sort. An imp has a CR of 1, which you won't be able to banish until level 8. At that point, why waste your action doing that? Just kill the thing. Yeah, this ability is not very good, and depending on the campaign, possibly useless. At 6th level, we get Spellbreaker, which is thankfully a little bit better than the previous ability. When you cast a 1st level or higher healing spell on a target, you can just end the spell that is on them. Your healing spell must be the same level as the spell you are trying to dispel. So if your fighter has been hit by whole person, you can use a bonus action to upcast a 2nd level healing word to heal them some and end that whole person. Which sounds pretty good. Till you remember that Dispel Magic is a spell, and one that is on your domain list that is always ready to use. True, it's a 3rd level spell, always takes an action and doesn't give you any healing, but it gets the job done almost as well with just a spell slot, and it's not taking your 6th level domain ability. So this isn't a useless feature, but it by no means as cool as it first might seem. At 17th level, we get Arcane Mastery. We get 1, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th level spell from the wizard spell list added to our domain list as cleric spells. There are certainly some good wizard spells of these levels, Disintegrate, Simulacrum, but there are some good cleric spells at these levels too, and you only have 1, maybe 2 spell slots for these levels, so it's only so useful. A lot of these up-level wizard spells may be cool, but they can also be very expensive. It takes a lot of time to set up. Simulacrum is a pretty good spell, but it isn't a spell I'm just going to whip out. So there is the Arcana domain. Not terrible. If you were playing in the Candlekeep anthology, might be kind of cool. But for most, is just really underpowered. Just play a wizard. That's really what this comes down to, doesn't it? Just be a wizard. Or if you really have your heart set on the arcane god devotee, may I suggest the knowledge domain? It has a much more cohesive theme and makes a more able investigator kind of cleric. Inquisitorial, even. Admittedly, this one's pretty meh as well, especially at level 1. But like we said earlier, any subclass can find a home in the right campaign. It's hard to call subclasses for the cleric bad on account of how strong the parent class is. So those are my picks for the best and worst subclasses for the cleric in D&D 5e. The Twilight cleric as the best was really no contest. But here's food for thought. If the Twilight cleric is so obviously more powerful than the other choices, does that not make it inherently bad? I don't know. Tell me your thoughts about it in the comments below. While you're down there, be sure to subscribe, ring the bell, smash that like button. Check out our other videos over here, and I will see you in the parlor.